BF Day proudly presents Mr. M's Math Class.
Hey guys, so welcome to our special edition of Mr. M's Math Class, Read Aloud edition. So I'm going to read chapter 6. I apologize that I did not read yesterday. Here we go, chapter 6. You probably think I'm the only one, said the number devil the next time he turned up, perched on a folding chair in the middle of a vast potato field. The only what? Asked Robert. The only number devil, but I'm not. I'm one of many. Number heaven, where I come from, is teeming with us. I'm not even one of the bosses. The bosses do nothing but sit and think. Now and then, one of them will laugh and say something like Rn equals Hn factorial times f of n open bracket a plus theta close bracket, and the others nod and laugh along. There are times when I don't understand a thing. You poor devil, Robert said. Here I thought you were so sure of yourself. Why do you think they send me out at night? Because the bigwigs have things to do other than visiting apprentices like you. So I'm lucky to have even you. Is that what you're saying? Don't get me wrong, said Robert's friend, because they were pretty much old friends by now. You have nothing against what they cook up, the bosses up there in number heaven. One I particularly like is a fellow named Bonacci, an Italian, who sometimes lets me in on what he's doing. He's been dead for years now, poor Bonacci, but that doesn't matter when you're a number devil. Besides, he's a fine chap, and one of the first to understand what zero means. He didn't discover it, mind you, but he did come up with what we call Bonacci numbers, a capital idea. And like most good ideas, it begins with, what do you think? A 1, or rather, 2 ones. 1 plus 1 equals 2. You take the last two numbers and add them together. 1 plus 1 equals 1, 1 plus 1 equals 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3, 2 plus 3 equals 5. Keep 3 plus 5 equals 8 going, 5 plus 8 equals 13 down, 8 plus 13 equals into the line, till the cows come home. You guessed it. Next, the number devil started running through the Bonacci numbers in a kind of a sing-song, the aria from a Bonacci opera, you might say. Here are the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 13, 21, 24, 58, 89, 144, 233, 377. Robert clapped his hands over his ears. All right, I'll stop, said the number devil, though I'd better write them out so you can see what they look like. What have you got to write on? What would you like? How about a scroll? Unscrewing the tip of his walking stick, he pulled out a thin roll of paper, tossed it onto the ground, and gave it a poke. An endless stream of paper rolled out along a furrow. How could all that paper fit into the stick, Robert wondered. Meanwhile, on it rolled until it rolled out of sight with all the Bonacci numbers. After that, the numbers were so far off and tiny that Robert couldn't even read them. Now what? If you take the sum of the first 5 and add 1, you get the 7th. If you take the sum of the first 6 and add 1, you get the 8th, and so on and so forth. I see, said Robert. But he didn't sound particularly excited. It also works if you jump over numbers. Keep in mind, though, the first one must always be present. You start like this. 1 plus 1 equals 2, and now plus 3, and now you jump another plus 8, and now you jump another plus 21. And what do you get when you add them up? 34, said Robert. In other words, the Bonacci number after 21, and if that's too hard for you, you can get there by hopping. For example, you take Bonacci number 4, which is 3, and you make it hop 3 to the second power, which is 9, said Robert. Then you take the next Bonacci number, number 5, which is 5, and make it hop. 5 to the second power equals 25, said Robert without missing a beat. Good. And now add the two together. 9 plus 25 equals 34. Another Bonacci number, he cried. And not only that, the number devil said, rubbing his hands, the 9th, because 4 and 5 makes 9. Fine and dandy. But tell me, what are they good for, your Bonacci numbers? You don't think mathematics is for mathematics only? Mathematicians only? Nature needs numbers too. Trees add, fish subtract. Come on, said Robert, you don't expect me to believe that. I expect you to believe that every living thing uses numbers, or at least behaves as it did. And some may well have an understanding of how they work. Well, I don't believe it. Take rabbits, for instance. They're more lively than fish. I bet there are rabbits all over this potato field. I don't see any, said Robert. Look, there are 2 now. Sure enough, two teensy white rabbits hopped up to Robert and plonked themselves at his feet. A male and a female, I think, said the number devil. And a male and a female makes one couple. And as you know, one is all we need to start things rolling. He wants me to believe he can do arithmetic, Robert said to the rabbits. Well, I'm too smart for that. What do you know about rabbits, Robert? Said the two rabbits with one voice. I bet you think we're snow rabbits. Snow rabbits, said Robert, who wanted to show them that he did know something about rabbits. Snow rabbits are winter animals, aren't they? Correct, they replied. And they're always white. While we're white only when we're young, it takes us a month to grow up, and then our fur turns brown. And then we want to have babies. It takes another month for them to be born. One boy bunny and one girl bunny. Just two? Asked Robert. I always thought rabbits had oodles of bunnies. We have, said the Roberts, but not all at once. 2 a month is enough, and they grow up and do the same. You'll see. But I'll have long since woken up before then. I have to go to school tomorrow morning. No problem, said the number devil interrupted. Time runs faster here in the potato field. A month lasts only 5 minutes, at least when you use the special rabbit clock I just happen to have with me. With these words, he pulled a large pocket watch out of his trouser pocket. It had 2 large rabbit ears, but only one hand. The hand shows months, not hours, he said, and a bell rings every time a month goes past. All I have to do is set it in motion, is to press the button on top. Shall I? Oh, do, the Roberts cried. Good. The number devil pressed the button. The clock started ticking. The hand started moving. When it reached 1, the bell rang. A month had passed. The rabbits were much bigger, and their fur had changed color from white to brown. When the hand reached 2, 2 months had passed, and the mother rabbit had brought 2 teensy-weensy white rabbits into the world. Now there were 2 couples, one younger, one older, but they did not remain satisfied for long. They wanted more babies, and by the time the hand had reached 3 and the bell had rang again, Mother Rabbit had given birth to the next 2 rabbits. Here's the first set of rabbits, and then babies, and it keeps going. Robert counted the couples. Now there were 3. The original one, Brown, the children from their first litter who had meanwhile grown up and turned brown, and the furry white babies. When the hand reached 4, the old mother rabbit gave birth to 2 more babies, and her first daughter, not to be outdone, gave birth to 2. That meant that there were now 5 couples hopping around the potato field, 3 of which were brown and 2 of which were white. I wouldn't try to keep them straight if I were you, said a number devil. You're going to have a hard time just counting them. Robert had no trouble when the clock reached 5. There were only 8 couples. But there were 13 by the 6th ring of the bell, and Robert thought this is getting out of hand. But at least he could still count the number of couples when the clock reached 7. There were exactly 21. Any ideas, said a number devil? Asked Robert. Of course, it's obvious, Robert answered. Bonacci numbers all the way. There's a number devil with all the bunnies. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. But even as he spoke, new hordes of rabbits were being born and joined their brown and white kin, romping over the potato field. Before long, Robert couldn't keep up with them anymore, and the rabbit clock ran on and on. Help, Robert shouted when the hand started on its second round. Thousands of rabbits and no end in sight. It's awful. Let me show you the rabbit list I've put together. Then you can see the whole picture. It shows everything that goes on between 0 and 7. But it's long past 7, Robert said. There must be thousands of them. 4,181 couples, which means that in 5 minutes there will be 6,765. Do you plan to let them go on? Because if you do, the whole earth will soon be covered with rabbits. Sooner than you think, said a number devil without batting an eyelid. All it will take is a few rounds of the clock. Well, stop them, please, Robert begged. This is no joke. It's a nightmare. Look, I've got nothing against rabbits. I like rabbits, but enough is enough. Stop them, please. Here's the rabbit chart. All right, Robert, but only if you admit that the rabbits are behaving as if they had learned their Bonacci numbers by heart. Fine, great. Anything you say, I admit it. Just stop them or they'll be crawling all over us in no time. The devil pressed the button on the top of the rabbit clock 2 times, and the clock started running backwards. Each time the bell rang, a large number of rabbits vanished, and after a few turns of the hand, there were only 2 rabbits left in the potato field. What about these, asked the number devil? Do you want to keep them? I don't think so. They'll just start over again. Yes, that's nature, said the number double, rocking gleefully on his folding chair. And that's how Bonacci numbers are, Robert responded. I don't know if I like the way they take off for infinity. Though, as you've seen, they can just as easily go the other way. We're back where we started from with R1. And so again, they parted in peace, leaving the rabbit couple to their own devices. The number double went back to his old friend Bonacci and their number crunching cronies in number heaven. Robert slept dreamless through the night. When the alarm rang the next morning, he was relieved to see it came from a perfectly ordinary alarm clock and not a rabbit clock. If you still don't believe that nature acts as if it knew how numbers work, turn to the tree on the next page. Maybe you found all those rabbits a bit confusing. Well, a tree can't go romping through a field, so you won't have any trouble counting its branches. Start from below at the red line numbered 1. It turns only through the trunk, as does line 2. One line higher at line 3, the trunk has been joined by a branch. Keep going. How many branches are there by the time you reach the top? Line 9. All right, and that is chapter 6. Goodbye.